Nose and Scar wax again, and trying to intrinsically colour it with oil-based grease makeup again. But I do go over it with my Skin Illustrator later as well, because I haven't quite got enough colours, I think, in the grease paints to make it suit somebody's exact skin tone. Like, I only have the skin tones, but no blues or greens or reds or anything, which I will get on to getting, but for now it means I will fix up the colour later with Skin Illustrator as well. So this is Pros-Aide that I'm putting around the edge of the cut where the wax is going to be, and I missed the top part because the top part's going to be latex. And you could use any kind of adhesive for this. You could use, I think a lot of people like using spirit gum, and that works well with wax. And now this is where the latex, this is the latex, it's just a normal clear latex. I think it's maybe a Meron brand. And I'm just using a foam, or like a makeup triangle to stipple over a thin layer of the latex on top. So now I'm rolling up little sausages of the wax and I'm placing it along the outline. And I will get my wax spatula in a minute and I'll start blending out the edges. I want to leave the inside quite untouched to make it look like it's being cut away at, and then blend the outside edges into the skin so that you can't really see where it begins. And I found one thing that helps with blending this out is using Vaseline on the edge of the tool, and the Vaseline helps to kind of lubricate the surface so the wax doesn't stick to your tools, it just kind of glides along. Second layer of latex down. The video does cut here. I had to use the PowerPoint for the hairdryer, so I stopped the video recording, but I did do 6 to 7 layers of latex, and I would blow dry it in between each layer until it was almost completely translucent. And this is how it looks at the end of those 6-7 layers, and now I'm powdering it with a translucent setting powder. It's the flap of skin that's kind of dangling at the top of the wound. I want to make sure that I don't pull it all the way off, that there's still, the connecting blended out part over the fingers. Now I've got my Skin Illustrator palette in the flesh tones, and I'm going to put a darker, like a brown, tan colour over the wax to try and match it into Daniel's skin tone a bit more. Yeah, matching skin tones is one of those things that I find quite difficult, so I might have to do some googling on how to improve that. Now I'm using these cotton tips to be the tendons on the back of the hand. So I want them to keep their length, but I want them to not become wide on the edge where the cotton is. So I've pulled off all the cotton, or most of the cotton from the ends, and I've put a layer of Pros-Aide adhesive down to glue them on. I wasn't completely confident in the Pros-Aide. And I probably should have waited until the Pros-Aide was clearer and had dried more, but what are you going to do? So the picture I was looking at had Now I'm using a thick blood gel to add some kind of coagulated, dark, gory looking bits. And this is Fresh Scab by Ben Nye. And I start by putting it just around the outside, and then I put some globs of it around the middle of the makeup as well. Now I'm using a dark blood. This is Mould Life's Kensington Gore in aged blood. I'm just putting it over the whole makeup and making sure that I soak through those cotton tips, or cotton fibres from the cotton tips. Now I'm going to put some dishwashing liquid around the outside of the hand, like where the wax is, because it's waxy, the blood simply doesn't sit very well in it, it beads up. So the dishwashing liquid helps the blood to sit more normally. And this is Merryn's Fresh Squirt Blood in Bright that I've put over the top. And I generally like to use different kinds of blood and different colours of blood. So I have the bright squirt blood, the thick dark blood gel, and the dark aged blood. So I like having different colours, different textures. And so I also use a tissue to kind of smudge it around, and then the brush to flick it. So there's all the different kinds of things going on, because if you put it all just down with one colour, with one texture, I was like, oh, I'm done. And then I'm like, no, I'm not done. It needs more gore, because you can kind of see where the cotton tips end, and the photo I was working off, you couldn't see all of the tendons. They were kind of peeking through bits of flesh, where it had been ripped away. So I wanted to add more gore to kind of just give it more of like a meatier texture. I didn't have cotton balls, so I just used just normal tissue. So I'm putting the tissue around areas that I think need more coverage and soaking those tissues with the bright coloured blood, kind of working it around with my fingers and breaking them up so they don't look so they look more meaty. And then I put more blood down, but more of the dark blood, and you can see around the wrist area, like, it's just a really dark patch. And so that's kind of what I want to avoid. So I do go back in and get a tissue and soak up that really dark patch of blood, and add some more bright blood there, because I don't want it to look like that. Just moving things around again until they look just like visually right to my eye. And put some more of the blood gel on top, so it's like these kind of clotted blood bits in the wound. And this is the finished hand makeup. And to remove it, it's quite easy.